make these the waters will be for you guys.
Any particular seating arrangement?
Whatever one you like more, I guess. First come, first serve, right?
Come first serve.
Yeah. What's your better side? You know?
I don't have a good side at all.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind all rising and joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. All right, guys, my name is Calvin Bennett, and I am here to help out and be one of your moderators tonight. Big thank you to Caitlin, who is the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, for leading us in the pledge just now. And just want to give a couple quick thank yous before we get started. So yeah, thank you to the Chamber. Thank you to LeGrand High School for hosting us tonight. Really appreciate that. EO Alive for broadcasting. Thank you, everyone on stream, for watching and submitting your questions. Thank you to everyone who's here. And last of all, big thank you to our 4 candidates for coming. Guys, trust me, I know running for office is really hard, but thank you for running and giving Union County voters a choice. So really appreciate that, guys. So real quick, the format is pretty simple. We're going to have 2 50-minute sessions. The first one is going to be for our 2 county commissioner candidates. The second will be for the sheriffs. And there are 7 questions for each. The first 4 questions were determined by the committee running this event, and they were based on topics that were given to each of the candidates beforehand, so they know the topics, but not the specific question. And then the second three are questions that are going to be submitted by the public, guys. So please submit questions. The best way to do that is to go online to forumquestions.com. That's forumquestions.com, and submit them there, or submit them to the gentleman in the back. I see Brent looking at me, so he's standing up. So we have that. Just make sure that all questions are formulated so that they are relevant to Union County topics. Let's keep it local, guys, and answerable by both candidates. So this is a forum, not a debate. We're not going to have people arguing up here. It's mostly going to be people coming up, sharing their ideas, what they envision for Union County and their leadership, and not debating. So that's the whole thing. Yeah, each candidate will get a 2-minute opening statement, a 2-minute closing statement. And am I missing anything, Caitlin? Awesome. All right, guys, we really appreciate you coming up. So please help me in welcoming our 2 county commissioner candidates, Jake Sievert and Mark Simmons.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us on stage. The first opening statement will be going to Mark Simmons. When you're ready, please stand to the podium and we will get the timer started.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here and visit with you this evening. I've found that in my running for office that people younger than 40 don't know me, or people who moved here after 2000 don't really know me. So I'm going to take a real quick rundown of who I am. I moved here when I was 16 years old in 1973. My family did. Elgin High School graduate in 75, went to work at the mill in 75 also, married my wife Joni in 78. We are still married. Went to work advocating for resource industries part-time. And then it drew me to the attention of Ray Baum, who was our state representative. He recruited me to run for the legislature. I got elected, and 4 years later became the Speaker of the House. In 2002, after being in office, we moved to Salem, and I worked in the nursery industry, lots of trips back and forth because this is home. And then in 2004, I had an appointment from President Bush to run U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. And then when he was done in 2009, I started my own business, and I'm still contracted to provide services to the seed industry. But aging parents became an issue for us. In 2008, Dad died. In 2012, my mother-in-law died, and we moved back home because it was just too much driving back and forth. And this is home. We were tired of being down there. And in 2019, my father-in-law died. We kept them home until they died. and that's constant care. If you've been through that, you know that what a big job that really is. You know, Mom, she had cancer, and I told her as she was getting near the end that when it became her time, I would come hold her hand. And for the last 14 hours of her life, the last thing she ever said to me was, "You said you'd come hold my hand." And the last 14 hours of her life, I did. I held her hand. Anyway, is it over?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no, the countdown on this side would be very helpful.
We are having some technical difficulties, so if everybody could just hang in there with us. And thank you, Candidate Simmons. All right, it looks like our issues have resolved. So, Jake Seaver, if you would please come to the podium. Oh, and if you wouldn't mind, fix that mic, tip it up a bit. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Union County Chamber of Commerce for hosting, as well as Brent Clapp and the crew at Eastern Oregon Live TV, LHS for giving us a place to do this, and guests for being here and giving us the opportunity to share more about myself and for you to learn more about me and my views for Union County. I'm a second-generation resident of Union County. Grew up being heavily involved in 4-H and FFA, a little bit of golf and rodeo as I grew up and through high school and college. I spent a lot of my time and energy supporting the youth in our community through 4-H and FFA activities, as well as doing some charitable and benefit fundraising events as an auctioneer. I have a solid background in agriculture and natural resources due to work experience, and then, of course, obtaining my bachelor's of Ag Sciences at Ag Business Management at Oregon State University in 2002, which I did right here at the program at Eastern Oregon University. Ag is the backbone and foundation of any economy, and it especially is important and crucial in rural counties like our own. I intend to do my best when I win this election and take office in January to support economical growth in agriculture and natural resources through ways of sustainability and added value. Let's not forget our staples of our community, such as wood grain, Boise Cascade, Kronospan, Barretto Manufacturing, Northwood, and Outdoors RVs, as they bring money into this county from out of the region and out of the state and nationwide. So with that, thank you again for having me here.
Thank you, Candidate Seaver. Actually, before you sit down, thank you.
I remember the rules now.
The first question will go to you. What can Union County do to attract potential large employers that may choose to build in the county jurisdiction?
Well, that is a fantastic question. What can we do? I think we are very attractive to bring laborers into the county. We live in a beautiful place. We have a lot to offer, and LeGrand is the epicenter of Union County, and Union County is basically the epicenter of Northeast Oregon, so we have a lot to do, a lot of opportunity there to grow business and grow job growth. Definitely, we need to go back to Salem and just have some visits with them. Obviously, this year was crucial in how we manage our lands and our timber. We're fortunate enough to keep the 3 mills that we have in our county up and running, which is crucial for jobs, good family wage jobs. But there's a lot more management that I feel like we can do. For instance, just driving around last night, looked up on Fox Hill and seen a red glow. And I've said for the last 2 to 3 years, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we're going to see a catastrophic fire event in this area because of ill-managed forests and natural resources. So that would be a mainstay there. We could grow some job growth there. I would like to also see some more development in a case-by-case area of expanding some opportunities in land available for construction of new manufacturers and processors of goods that we can transport out of this county. So that's, we do have some available at our current industrial parks. That was the term I was looking for. But, let's plan for the future. Let's be proactive in bringing more talent and business and economic growth to Union County in those ways. So.
Thank you, Candidate Sievert. Now, Mr. Simmons, I would love for you to take the podium, and that question to you, again, was what can Union County do to attract potential large employers that may choose to build in the county jurisdiction?
Thank you very much. The last big success story bringing a business here, I believe, was Barreto, and they've done very well here, and now they are moving away because of our tax system in the state of Oregon. But I would offer to you that economic development starts in our schools. Good education, preparing the next generation. Schools need to be autonomous and independent of state meddling. We elect school boards to manage that for us. I think we should have minimum requirements to graduate here. I think the state requirements are much too low. That our young people should not have to leave our community to make their way in the world. We need to certainly support the industries that we have. We need more water availability for agriculture. It would make a huge difference in this valley if we had more water available for agriculture. It would be amazing for us. We need to support tourism, the things we have. More people could be employed in tourism. Hot Lake is headed toward being a destination, and we need to enhance that and support them. And then, as opportunities arise, bring more industries to town. Now, in my opening statement, I wanted to close saying, the fifth commandment says, honor your father and mother, and that's what we did when we came back here from being in Salem, and couldn't be involved in anything else. Here in Northeast Oregon is the only place I've ever ran for office or been elected, and so I am hardly a career politician. I'm a regular guy from the humble town of Elgin in the great county of Union, who has been blessed to have irregular experiences. And I believe that we all owe it to our country and ourselves to give back and do the very best we can. And with that, I will cede the last 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, if you want to stay up there, Mark. All right. Next question. What is your long-term vision for Union County, and how do you plan to achieve it during your term?
Obviously, the long-term vision and achieving that takes a group effort. I believe that politics is a team sport, and it needs the best from all of us. That's what I believe. We have a lot of great things going on here, great coordination between commissioners and the various segments of local government, but there's always more we can do. Our rural fire departments need help. They need more volunteers who are trained. The best and least costly solution is to help them bring in more people, more volunteers. And I believe that we ought to be looking at teaching firefighter certification in our high schools, encouraging them, high schools, juniors and seniors, to have that as an elective. Because doing something different, having a full-time fire station in the rural communities would be exceedingly expensive and require likely new taxes. We need to take full advantage of grant opportunities, both state and federal. And if the money is going to get spent somewhere, we might as well spend it here. And I look forward to your interaction with me in trying to achieve that as we look for more resources to enhance our local community.
All right, Jake, same question to you. What is your long-term vision for Union County, and how do you plan to achieve it during your term?
My long-term vision for Union County, I have several. There's opportunity in the ag world, of course, to add value to our products, which is going to increase the bottom line at the production level. Definitely, I think we need to put in place help for the drug and mental health issues that we are currently facing. And it was kind of stolen from me last night at the city council meeting in LeGrand, but, I was going to promote, some sort of detox facility or some sort of mental health respite. But, Scarfo brought up that there's hopefully going to be some money coming down from legislation for a detox respite facility from the opioid settlement money. So that kind of stole the wind out of my sails. But, again, as mentioned earlier, this is a team effort. So in my role for the vision of Union County is to stand by other commissioners in that process and get that money here so that we can help these issues that we are currently facing. Again, as I said, we're going to assist other commissioners, and I think priority-wise is to get money for our fairgrounds project. It's a big funding bill. We need to go get it. If we were to ever see a natural disaster or an emergency in this area, that is our hub. That is every community hubs, especially in rural communities, is to meet at a fairgrounds, and we need to have toilets, and we need to have running water to make that happen. So assisting commissioners on that. Be a voice against the River Democracy Act. Be a voice against the removal of the Snake River dams. You think we have enough trucks on the freeway now? Just wait until they want to institute that process. And then just be involved with Grand Ron place-based water plan storage feasibility. Again, water is a big issue. It has been for the last 20 years. So that's my stance on the vision of Union County.
Thank you, Jake. And if you wouldn't mind staying up, my question to you is, how do you see the county helping those who want to build homes outside of city limits?
It's a hot topic, right? I think there's a lot of people that already have homes outside of city limits, and they're there for a reason, right? We don't really, we like the scenery. We like to look at the mountains. We like to be able to look across a field of hay and see deer grazing in the hay or the wheat fields that we have here. So it's nostalgic in a way, right? It's going to take a case-by-case situation for me, right? I mean, it's not just the population of Union County, but the population of the world is growing at a terrific rate, and we need housing. But again, capitalism kind of takes control. What's supply and demand, for one? For two, are we going to take up productive agriculture land to build subdivisions or small acreage plots? I would rather not. They only make so much productive farm ground in the world. You can't make more. You can't go on the face of Harris and plant a wheat field, or the face of Emily, right? So they don't make more farm ground, and that's really important to our community and our county. And it's like I say, there's an urban growth, limits that we see within these cities. Try to constrain within them if we can, but again, it's a capitalism market, supply and demand, so we can't tell people what to sell their lot for and how to build. But I'd be open to entertain some urban growth boundary expansions, but again, it's going to be a case-by-case basis, access to water, access to infrastructure, access to sewer, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. And Mark, the same question to you. How do you see the county helping those who want to build homes outside of the city limits?
Thank you. Both inside and outside, there are obviously minimum lot size standards for outside of city limits that I am loath to change, because, love it or hate it, land use laws have given us open spaces. I would look to inside the city limits, and this is a recognized problem. The legislature passed Senate Bill 1530 and 1537 recently to incentivize solutions to affordable housing. I don't believe young folks should have to leave our community to find their way in the world, and housing is exceedingly expensive. And if we can't get it done within those incentives that have been provided, go to the legislature and ask for further variance for our community. if we had developed this state sensibly, we'd have put the big city over on the rocks, because most of Portland is Class 1 farm ground. And anyway, the foresight wasn't there at the time. Not enough, even the solutions offered in the 2 Senate bills are not enough, I don't believe, given the scale of the problem. And we have land, but we need to make some tough decisions and provide affordable housing. I don't want more subsidized low-income housing. We've got plenty. But I would like to see workforce housing for people who want to work and have a family and a job here. And we just have to make some tough decisions and make it happen.
Oh, thank you, but do you want to stay up there?
Okay.
Right. All right, are you ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. All right. What have you done since filing to prepare yourself for the role of county commissioner?
I've been going around, I love doing the doors. I love knocking on people's doors and hearing from them what they think. That's the real people. The real people that our government is supposed to represent. They are we the people that we are charged as elected officials to represent. And obviously, in my past, I was even rural development state director, and I took that agency from $110 million a year net benefit to Oregon to $330 million a year benefit to Oregon. So I understand how some of them things work on the inside, and so that gives me some insight into how to pull the strings from the outside. And I look forward to working with you to achieve that, because really, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's a team sport. Building our future together is a team sport that takes all of us. Man, I wish this auditorium tonight was just jam full, standing room only. But the fact that it's not represents one of the challenges we have in our society. We all tend to think that government is somebody else and something else, but it's not, it's us. We the people are empowered, and we can all influence what's going on in our government and have a hand in shaping outcomes. So I would ask that you join me in doing that as I get elected to be your next county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Jake, same question. What have you done since filing to prepare yourself for the role of county commissioner?
What have I done to prepare for this role as county commissioner? I wish I would have invested in some hair coloring, because I'm sure I sprouted a few gray hairs over this. It's very time consuming, but I love it. I love being involved in the community, obviously. I stand up and do my part when asked, and when volunteer, when it's asked, and I can do it. I've attended numerous city council meetings. There's a couple cities I haven't been to yet. They're on my list to get to, but I've attended a couple at LeGrand, Island City, Elgin. I've attended numerous county commissioners meetings, seeing how the meetings are run, seeing what issues and topics they are discussing that is affecting us today and the decisions that they make on a daily basis. I've met with Shelley Burgess, talked about the budgeting and how that process goes, so I can grasp it and understand, where the money's coming from, where the money goes, and honestly, it's a small budget. I've met with some department heads to gain insight on what challenges and what opportunities they see at the department head level of what they're in charge for. What's going on at the airport? What would they like to see done? What's going on with the parks and the homeless encampments there, and how can we tackle those issues? I've visited with many citizens, ag-related and non-ag-related, about the issues that are happening in the county right now and their views, and gaining some perspective from their side. And that's the best part about me, is I'll listen to both sides. I've attended business roundtables. Bobby Levy and Nash put one together, and there was a small group of small business leaders there, and we shared some ideas of how we could get that better. Attended planning meetings, attended the Idaho Movement Commissioner meetings to see and grasp what's going on there, and then met with groups throughout the county, and just got out in front of people and met with them. So.
Thank you, Jake. And before we get to your next question, I would just like to remind the public that you can still submit forum questions to our candidates at forumquestion.com. That's forumquestion.com. So be sure to get your questions in. So Jake, our question to you, well, actually this question comes from the public. What organizations have you been involved in, and how have you volunteered your time to support Union County in the last 5 years?
Organizations I've been involved with in the last 5 years. Just strictly kind of the Union County Cattlemen's Association. I'm serving as president of the local association group since January. I've also sat in and a part of the Eastern Oregon Livestock Show fair sale committee for the kids out there. I'm on the Union County Fair Sale Committee for the kids that bring their animals into the county fair. My gosh, I raise money with Kevin Loveland every November, December timeframe for the Festival of Trees for the Seroptimist. Great group. And any chance I can get to sell a dessert for whatever charitable donation, I do it as an auctioneer. And so I mentioned, I believe, in my whatever the newspaper column that they wrote on me earlier this year is, I expressed that onto the community. If you have a talent, I'm not saying give it away for free all the time, but like me, I have a talent. And so to be able to use my auctioneering as a voice and to help some charitable events raise money for some needs, man, go for it. But again, like I say, don't give it away for free all the time, right? What else have I been involved with? I think that's about it. But yeah, as you can tell, it's a lot about the youth, the 4-H and FFA kids. They're great programs. It teaches them work ethic, teaches them responsibility, teaches them accountability. And I'm not downplaying the FBLA yet, but they haven't contacted me to help them yet, so I can't. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, any groups available, just do what we can for our youth. Right? I'm done? Perfect.
Thank you, Jake. Mark, same question to you. What organizations have you been involved in, and how have you volunteered your time to support Union County in the last 5 years?
Thank you very much. I think that outside, certainly we've been involved with church activities, but I think more importantly really is the ethic that we use and display in our personal lives day to day. We have a dear lady who was the last caregiver for my father-in-law, that we are her support network. We have adopted her, and she's alone in the world, 81 years old and alone in the world. And we have adopted her and cared for her. And anytime her tires need changed, or she needs some medicine, or the battery in her cell phone went dead for some reason, we are who gets the call. And we take our time to do that. And we've provided meals for people who were sick and couldn't get out. All activities that benefit the community don't have to be through an organization. We're working on a plan, though, however, to develop hopefully a retreat center that could be used on some property we have. That's a longer-term vision and goal that we have, my wife and I, and look forward to being more involved even with the community on another level as your county commissioner. Thank you.
Question 6. This is another one from the public. As commissioner, how will you represent people who think differently than you?
Thank you. Great question. I really believe that we are stronger together. I like visiting with people who have a different perspective than my own. I think when we're not able to have civil conversations and come to an understanding of each other's opinions and why, we are less for it, and that we need to take time to do that. And, our government is slow to change, and that is intentional, quite frankly. It is, and that slowness gives us a level of stability. And we all enjoy that. We enjoy the stability that our government gives to us. So on my palm card, I hand out door to door my cell phone numbers on the back. And I'm available to you at any time to visit with you, have civil conversations about our vision for the future of this county, because in the end, we really are stronger together.
All right, Jake, ready for the next, or same one? As commissioner, how will you represent people who think differently than you?
No one thinks differently than me. No. All that aside, I mean, I live with my wife, ask her. No, I mean, obviously, we're in a small community, right? We all got to get along. But from my standpoint and how I've dealt with those things in the past is just having open conversation and being open. And I'm a great listener. I like to think while people are talking to me and formulate, how's that fit into this scheme of things, and how is this different from the way I think about it? But by collaborating, and one of the things that I thought about doing is getting some sort of informal group together on a bi-monthly basis, with commissioners, and have coffee or something, or just me, I don't know, come open my door and sit down and visit with me, and what can we do to fix our situations here? It takes all of us to make this community what it is. And it just cannot be a certain person, a certain group or demographic to control what is actually going on in our community. I'm all about, taking advice and different solutions and combining solutions and piecing it all together. There's no black and white in this world really anymore. It's kind of a gray topic, but what makes it gray is having everybody come to the table and have that discussion and formulate what is best for Union County as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Next question to you as well, submitted by the public. What issues and boards do you want to serve as a liaison for? For example, the Airport Advisory Committee, the Cherry Fruit Fly Board, or even the Union County Chamber of Commerce?
Boy, I'm open to anything. Even though I'm ag-based and have a lot of experience in that, one thing that I feel is important is to step outside your comfort zone and outside your box occasionally. So I would be open to sitting liaison to any group that's available. But obviously, you're electing me on behalf of my strengths and not my weaknesses. And my strengths are in the ag and natural resource world. The position that's coming open is a good direct relationship or liaison with a lot of those core ag groups. The water placement, Grand Ronde water placement, the weed board, the cattlemen's group, and soil and water conservation district. I definitely would feel probably more fit in with North Powder and Union residents, sitting, liaison with their city councils, because we're all kind of ag related. But yeah, I'm up for a challenge. I mean, stick me anywhere. I think I would be a good fit and bring some different viewpoints to the table, and build and develop those working relationships wherever that would be. So, but again, natural resources, agriculture, you name it, them are my strengths. There you have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. And Mark, the same question to you. What issues and boards do you want to serve as a liaison for? Examples given: Grand Ronde Model Watershed or Eastern Oregon University.
Wonderful. I'd take them both. How's that? I'd love to. I love the water issues, quite frankly, and really believe that there's a lot of benefit to be drawn out of out of finding a way to have more water available for our ag industry in this area. And it's something that would help the whole community. It would help fish flows. It would help. It's just a win-win if we can kind of get out of our own way and make it happen. I love working with the university. I've got some old university T-shirts I still wear around. I don't prefer to go to Salem unless it's needed. I've done my time there and don't really care to go back, but the road department, I would love to help with the road department. I'd like to get my CDL and go out there and drive with the guys and find ways to support, especially potentially in the winter when we've got a lot of snow and extra manpower needs to be brought to bear. But the way county is managed here in Union County is not the same as a lot of other counties I've found, but it brings a cohesiveness and a communication between the commissioners and the public and those who are involved, the volunteers who make these various entities go. And I enjoy hearing what's going on with them and finding a way to enhance them from the county commission level. So there you have it. Okay.
All right. Oh, my goodness. You think it's going to work? All right. Last question before closing statements. We're going to add this one in just for fun real quick. Can you say in under a minute one nice thing about your opponent, one thing that you appreciate about your opponent in this race? It's a EOU Debates Classic.
Okay, sure. I go in and buy gates from Jake. And there's one in there now that's been hanging there, and I need to go in and pick it up and pay for it, and he hasn't harassed me about it. I've been busy campaigning and doing other things, and he's a good guy, a good family guy, I believe a Christian man, and who has a heart to serve, and I think he's a fine guy. I think this isn't his time, but are you doing that on purpose? Okay, turn it off. Anyway, yeah, he's a good guy. I'm really happy that the business he runs is there, so there's some competition for D&B. And I was out at the a demonstration they had at the Union Stock Show grounds. This fellow was taking horses and training them very quickly, and the announcer announced that Jake's firm had supplied the panels that day, and so that could be made to happen. So, yeah, there you go.
All right, for sake of not turning on the mic, Jake, you want to get up and do the same question?
What was the question again? One thing I admire about Mark Simmons, that, boy, I do remember Mark from the 90s because that was about the time I was able to vote and register, and that was probably one of the first ballots I turned in. I probably voted for Mark Simmons, and it was because it was a local guy stepping up to the plate from this side of the state to take up with some of the issues that we have locally and statewide and address them on the west side where we're not so popular. So I applaud you, Mark, for your time and services back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I applaud you for wanting to step in again and seeing what you can do. Thank you.
Up there? Okay, perfect. If you could stay up there for a minute and do your 2-minute closing statement.
2-minute closing statement. I'm really not going to take 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. In closing again, I would like again to thank Union County Chamber of Commerce, Caitlin, Danielle, you guys have done great. Calvin, thank you for making the trip back for this evening, putting this on. Brent and the crew back there, thank you for your support and making sure the public is well informed of who they're voting for this November. Thank you to the citizens of Union County, those watching, those here participating, those who have submitted questions. I'm sorry we weren't able to answer every question. I would love to do that. And there's several ways that you can get a hold of me and join me in this election at www.votejakesievert.com. On Facebook, I'm on there, Jake Sievert for Union County Commissioner. and Instagram. I'm on there at Sievert for UC Commissioner as well. Again, like I said, I'm a great listener. But don't take it that I'm just listening. As I'm listening, I'm taking in information, analyzing it, and trying to form some, communicative thoughts, which I have trouble with tonight. But again, I'm a great listener. Catch me on the street, come to my business, call me on the phone, wherever you can see me. If you have questions, introduce yourself. I'm very approachable. Again, just taking in. Come with me with any issues that you may have, and I'll be happy to sit with you. And I guess to close it out, I'm just going to humbly ask for your vote this November, and I look forward to serving you all as county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Concluding statements, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I would thank you for being here today. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for caring enough to come out and get some information on the commissioner race and the sheriff's race that'll be up here next, and caring enough to engage. We need more of that in our community. When I first ran for office, you ran ads in the paper. There's no paper. I guess there's an online digital thing, but I like holding it in my hand. And you can go scroll it online, I suppose, but it seems like the commissioners are more isolated than they used to be. And seemingly, I hear from people no vision for the county and what it can be. I know there's a lot of constraints. I know the commissioners are working hard. But how we begin to be more vocal and open and get more public engagement, the timer went out. But from you, the people. And I've been in my own business the last 15 years, happily doing that. Never dreamed I would do this again, but had a lot of encouragement from people in the community. I'm grateful to those who come up and said, Mark, I really am glad you're willing to get involved again. And it is for you and my 12 grandkids that I'm doing this, because I'm concerned about the future that we are leaving our children. We have several meet and greets coming up. You can find me at electmarksimmons.com. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. So I would ask for your vote as we move into the future together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. Thank you. That concludes our county commissioner forum. Really appreciate everyone coming out and the candidates for doing this. Thank you so much again, guys. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, fix some of this technical stuff, get the sheriff candidates up here, so go stretch your legs, use the restroom, and get ready for round 2.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Here in Eastern Oregon, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful area. And though it may seem mild-mannered, there's actually quite a lot that goes on in this area. And apparently, there's 2 dinguses who happen to be here that are actually crazy enough to get up at the crack of dawn to talk about it. Tune in to AM Live on EOA with Brent and Dodsey, featuring special guests, weather, sports, news, and more, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., only on EOA Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
Welcome to Creating Memories for Disabled Children at beautiful Wallowa Lake, Oregon. Over the years, we have offered families of children with disabilities a free vacation at our beautiful camp properties. These getaways are a respite for families who often deal with an increased amount of emotional stress, financial hardships, and isolation. At Creating Memories, these families are able to relax in the knowledge that their child is loved and that their efforts are seen. Since 2018, we have completed a cabin renovation every 2 years, continually increasing our capacity to serve. We have fully renovated 3 cabins to become fully accessible lodging for families, including full kitchens and wheelchair-accessible bathrooms. We now turn our focus to the lodge building at the Creating Memories camp. Our vision for the lodge includes gatherings, networking, education, connections, community, and fellowship. We want it to be a place for families to share their struggles and joys, their needs and their knowledge, their setbacks and their celebrations. We are creating memories for disabled children, and our mission is to do just that.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Here in Eastern Oregon, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful area. And though it may seem mild-mannered, there's actually quite a lot that goes on in this area. And apparently, there's two dinguses who happen to be here that are actually crazy enough to get up at the crack of dawn to talk about it. Tune into AM Live on EOA with Brent and Dodsey, featuring special guests, weather, sports, news, and more, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., only on EOA Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
County Sheriff Forums. So please help me welcome Shane Rollins and Sheriff Cody Bowen.
Thank you, candidates. Now we will begin with our opening statements. Shane Rollins, you are first.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. So as you know, my name is Shane Rollins. I run for Union County Sheriff. To give a little bit about myself, I was born and raised here in this valley. I go 7 generations here, so I'm invested here. Went to school out in Ambler. When I graduated, I joined the National Guard. I was a diesel mechanic there. And then in '99, I went to the United States Marine Corps. I went to Marine Corps as an infantry, and I became a platoon sergeant while I was in Iraq. Came back, decided I need something a little bit better for the civilian world. So I went into criminal investigations. While I was there, I worked side by side with NCIS, did a big case with the FBI, solved a huge case with the San Bernardino Sheriff's County down there in California. Then I went over to the military police field due to promotion reasons where I was a watch commander. I was in charge of the security of the bases there, which is basically a small city. Then I went on to embassy duty, where I was a detachment commander for 2 different embassies overseas. First one was Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Second one was Botswana, Africa. There was 5 Marines I was in charge of, and we were the only ones there in country to defend that embassy and the ambassador there at station. I came back to our city, or back into country, stationed down in Miramar, California. I was placed as an assistant operations chief down there in Miramar, California, and then placed in charge of Miramar Air Show. During that air show, I had 600 to 800 security personnel under my charge. There was about 300,000 people who came aboard that installation during that air show, and I was placed in charge of that. 2014, I retired, came back to this valley where I grew up and so much love, and I wanted my children to have the same experiences as I did because, again, I'm vested here. So I'm running for sheriff because I care about the future of our children, and I care about the future of our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Now we'll move over to Sheriff Cody Bowen for your opening statement.
Thank you. Thank everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I don't know if you guys are as sick as this political stuff as I am, but I am done. Between the ads on the TV and our signs everywhere, thank you for all the support from everybody. I grew up here in La Grande. Lived throughout Union County my whole life. After high school, I moved over to Pendleton, started working for Les Schwab Tire Center. Worked there for about 15 years, moved back to LeGrand in 2005, and I became a volunteer patrol deputy with Union County Sheriff's Office. I saw what those guys did. I liked law enforcement. I wanted to be a part of it, so I volunteered my time as a patrol deputy. After about a year, the current sheriff that we had at the time, offered me a full-time position. I, of course, was ecstatic about that. I took about a year to get my finances in order. I left a paying job at Les Schwab for about $120,000 a year to work as a sheriff's deputy for $47,000 a year, for the love of it. Definitely not for the money, definitely not for the accolades. But I married my wife in 2000. We've been married for 24 years now. She's my ride or die, my partner, supports me 100%. We have 2 children together, and Union County is my home. I love this place. I do this job because I love it. I've been the sheriff for the last 4 years after a previous election. Kind of feels like deja vu with me, but I just thank you all for being here. Thank you, Brent Clapp. Thank you, Chamber. Appreciate everything you guys are doing for all of us tonight.
Thank you. Do you want to stay up there?
Yes, I do.
All right, you ready for the first question?
You bet.
Awesome. What role should the sheriff's office play in helping those struggling with addiction or mental illness, and how will you balance enforcement with treatment?
Balance enforcement with treatment. First off, our role as first responders is when someone calls in and says there's a situation going on, we respond to that, try and gather as much information as we can. As you all have seen, years ago, Oregon shut down our mental health hospitals. They shut down our treatment centers. They really put a lot of people out to fend for themselves. And that has had a direct toll, not just on our community, but nationwide. Mental health is something that we, as law enforcement, have a considerable amount of training that we go through in order to be the first responders, to work through these situations, de-escalate these situations, and then find resolution for that person that's in crisis. On a daily basis, we're dealing with someone with a mental health issue. Every one of my deputies, LeGrand Police Department, every day we deal with someone, and sometimes that same person multiple times over and over again. Our responsibility is obviously take care of that person, however that may be. Unfortunately, right now, the way our state sits, we don't have a lot of resolution to offer. We don't have a lot of resources. We don't have a detox center here. We don't have any inpatient mental health. CHD has been a fantastic partner. Funding, of course, comes up, and it's difficult for us to resolve those situations. But from 8 to 5, we have some place that we can go and we can help people. But as you know, mental health crisis, addiction, criminal behavior, it doesn't happen from 8 to 5. It happens around the clock 24 hours. So we feel very frustrated. We have a great relationship with Grand Ronde Hospital to help resolve some of these situations, but the hospital is not the place, the emergency room especially, is not the place where mental health needs to be treated. They have the skills to help and de-escalate things, but as mental health goes and the partnership with law enforcement, especially locally, we are doing tremendous things right here locally behind the scenes to improve our mental health situation, and I look forward to continuing that.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Rollins, same question. What role should the sheriff's office play in helping those struggling with addiction or mental illness, and how will you balance enforcement with treatment?
Well, again, it comes down to the first responders. Any calls that come out there and it's a mental health issue, you have to respond. You have to go there. You have to take them in custody to protect those citizens out there who might be in danger because of that issue. Now, once you take them to custody, you have to take them to the hospital where they have to be evaluated. Now, this puts a big strain on the law enforcement, because that law enforcement officer has to sit with that individual until he gets evaluated by that doctor in order to be released on his own accountance or taken into custody and transported to a facility that can house them. This is a huge strain across the board, across nationwide. Now, I know for a fact right now there's a 5-year plan that's in effect down in Eugene where they're building a facility for mental health and drug rehabs. I would love to see something like that happen here in this county. And again, it comes down to resources, it comes down to funding. But if we could do something like that here, that would be beautiful for Eastern Oregon. Because something down in Eugene, that's great, but by the time we get somebody to go down there into a bed, they're already filled up because of everything they've got going on down there. So if we could get something here within our county being the hub, centralized hub, that's going to alleviate a lot of the pressure that's on the law enforcement that's having to deal with this daily. plus it's going to bring in professional jobs, it's going to bring in revenue, and it's going to alleviate the pressure off the other counties that are surrounding us. So if we could come together as a community and tap into some different resources, some government grants or anything else, and show and tell how this is a big problem and an issue, this could be something huge for us here in this county. Thank you.
The next question goes to you as well. How would you describe your leadership style, and how will it benefit the sheriff's office?
So my leadership style is pretty easy. I lead from the front. Out of my 21 years in the military, 18 years I was in a leadership billet. And when I say lead from the front, that means whenever I put out a mission out there that needs to be accomplished, I ensure that whatever orders I pass down, it's going to be something I've done myself or that I'm willing to do myself. The other thing too, I'll make sure that I have the top-notch training underneath my belt, because as a leader, you have to immortalize yourself to be higher than those you're in charge of so they can look up to you. And not only that, if any questions come up below you from those people that you're in charge of, you have the answers for them. That is key for being a leader. Now, I can understand this right now. Your current sheriff is missing 2 key certifications that he needs to be as a sheriff, and that's law enforcement leadership and law enforcement manage. You have to have that as a sheriff, and he's missing that. So to me, that's a failure in leadership right there. But I can assure you that if I'm elected sheriff, I will search out for all those certifications I can get, all those courses I can go to, and I will take advantage of them. And one of the big advantages I'll take advantage to is the FBI Academy. Because as a sheriff, you're invited to the FBI Academy, and I will go to that because that'll benefit us here in this county and that office. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Now, Sheriff Cody Bowen. Same question to you. How would you describe your leadership style, and how will it benefit the sheriff's office?
Well, I can tell you my leadership style and how it has benefited the sheriff's office being in there. My leadership style started a long time ago at Les Schwab, but more importantly, my leadership style is a servant style. I'm a servant leader. I don't ask my deputies to do anything that, number one, I wouldn't do, but more importantly, that I haven't done already for Union County. Leadership in our office, we've seen some leaders that lead by fear. We've seen some leaders that lead with some narcissistic attitudes. We've had some leaders that have dismantled our office simply by walking through the door with a smile or a smirk on their face. Leadership is something that's very important to me. I'm an open book. Morale in our office right now, I can tell you over the last 4 years, is higher than it's ever been in the sheriff's office. I have 100% unanimous support from all the deputies that work for me. If that doesn't say something about my leadership, I don't know what else will. When it comes to leadership, it's not about me. It's not about me being on this podium. What I'm doing up here on this podium and running for re-election is ensuring that my office is a happy place to work for. I have highly trained deputies. I have people that I put my family first and ensure that they put their family first. We support one another. Leadership is something about, it's not about the title. It's not about being the sheriff. It's not about being the guy in charge. It's about being someone that people can look to, knowing that you have the experience, knowing that you have the common sense to do the job, knowing that you have done the job. It's important to me to people understand that I have done this job for the last 14 years. And as far as a leader goes, I encourage you to talk to any of the people that I've worked with, our neighboring partners, our law enforcement, other agencies, and just ask that question to yourself, and they'll tell you exactly what they think, and I'm 100% confident that nothing but good things will come out of our partners. And that starts with the leader, and that starts with the person at the top. And my open book attitude, my transparency, leadership is something I instill in all my deputies. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. If you want to stay up there. And then just a quick reminder for the room, as I forgot to say it, this is a forum, not a debate. So next question. Union County includes many rural areas. How will you ensure adequate enforcement coverage for these regions?
This is a different question. I was reading while you were talking, so I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
1 second, guys. All right, well, I'll read this again real quick.
Okay.
Let's go with this one.
Okay.
Union County includes many rural areas. How will you ensure adequate law enforcement coverage for these areas?
Gotcha. I feel right now with the staff that we have and the budget that we have for the positions that we have, we do we do provide more than adequate coverage. I myself, I would like to see 24-hour coverage, the same as anyone else. I was going through the stats here this week, and in 2023, as some of you know, that we don't have coverage early morning. We have a person that goes home late at night, and then they're on call until the next deputy comes on. We received just over 100 calls for 2023 between those hours of when we didn't have somebody on, compared to the 1,500 that we get in a year. So it's about balancing resources. It's about balancing the money that I'm spending. Where is it most used? Where is it most needed? I like to have more patrol deputies when we have higher traffic areas, when we have more presence out there, when people are awake, when people are seeing them and they're actually doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. When it comes to additional coverage, 24-hour coverage, I can tell you this. Of the positions that we have for patrol, the majority of them are provided by grants and contracts to our outlying areas. The county doesn't pay for all of our patrol services. Patrol deputies, there's about 6 positions that are funded by the county. The rest of them are all through contracts and grants that I've gone out. We, as a team, have gone out and received to pay for these other 7 or 8 positions. When it comes to the 24-hour coverage, yes, I would love to hear how somebody can tell me I can do that right now with the budget that we have. I want you to know that there are plans in the future, once this election is over and things settle down, that we do have a plan established to establish 24/7 coverage. It's just going to take some time. It's going to take some additional resources. As far as funding goes, our office has, in the last since I've been sheriff, we've received almost $1.5 million in grants and contract money. It's not that they're not out there, but for staffing wise, about $120,000 has been available for staffing out of that $1.5 million. That's all that's available for the state. You can't go get a grant for staffing. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins, ready for the same question? Awesome. Union County includes many rural areas. How will you ensure adequate law enforcement coverage for these regions?
Well, it'd be 24/7 coverage, and that can be done. I've looked at the budget. We used to do 24/7 coverage with only 6 deputies. There's 15 deputies on the road right now. There's more than enough money there within the budget, because if you do it correctly and do the hours correctly, you won't go over that budget, and you'll have that 24-hour service. Not to mention, I'll have more patrols out there, which again, it will not tap in the budget any more than what it is, and you'll see more traffic enforcement. Because we have to do this, because once you do that and accomplish that, it's going to deter like 40% of the crime that's out there, because you're showing that presence. And if you don't show that presence, we're going to have a wild, wild west, which we have right now. We need to get control of the crime that's going on. Right now, we're on a defense. We cannot be on a defense as law enforcement. We need to get that back and go back on the offense, and the best way to do that is 24-hour service, having a great service toward the citizens that has not been provided for the last 20 years, which I can do because, again, I've looked at the budget, I've looked at the manpower, and it's very doable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Next question goes to you as well. Does Union County need a new jail? If so, what creative ideas do you have for solving this problem?
Yes, absolutely. The jail we have right now is, well, it's done. It needs to be replaced. But it's not going to be done at $74 million, which I've heard that's a proposal for one of the new jails they want to bring in. I can't do that. I can't see doing that at all, because that's going to raise your taxes on the citizens. And the last thing I want to do, especially with our economy right now, where people can barely put food on their tables or fill gas in their tanks to get to work, I'm not going to do that. But one of the things I can look at and what has been done, in Douglas County, Colorado, there was a bond and grant that was done, and the way they were able to work that is because they got a contract with U.S. Marshals. U.S. Marshals paid for that entire jail for them. And they now currently gain $1.2 million revenue every year because of that contract. There are grants out there. There's government agencies that will help us be able to develop this. Now, if we can't get it that way, I could look at building maybe a simpler jail that's better than what we have, and then the current jail, open it up, make more office space so that the police department and the sheriff's office aren't on top of each other. These are things I want to look at and doing, because the last thing I want to do is raise our taxes. I mean, face it, it's already hard enough as it is. But there definitely does need to be a new jail, and there are ways to doing it. It's just a matter of searching. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Sheriff Cody Bowen, same question to you. Does Union County need a new jail? If so, what creative ideas do you have for solving this problem?
Thank you. Over the last 4 years when I first took office, What I did, responsible thing on my end, was we developed a needs assessment. We had an outside company come in and go through our facility, our surrounding facilities, basically Union County property, and they looked at our jail and basically came back and said that, yes, you definitely need a new facility. I do have that needs assessment that is open to the public if anybody wants to look at that. As far as the $74 million, they gave us a proposal with what we combined and put together with some other departments and some other agencies. LeGrand Police Department did the same needs assessment and came back with an extremely high number as well. We are in the process of collaborating, picking apart the things that we need versus the things that we want, but also yet be sustainable for the next 50 years. I don't want to place a bond or a tax burden on someone, us, and then in 20 years be looking to do it the same thing. I want to do it one time, and I want to do it right, and I want it to be done correctly. Through the partnership with the City of LeGrand, Chief Bell, we're working on that with juvenile, with parole and probation, with the county commissioners. As far as creative ideas when it comes to jail, I will be honest with you, since Oregon changed their laws, our jail has not been full since 2020. Our main push was bed space. But right now, with the way that the Oregon legislature, the Oregon judicial system is, they do not hold people in jail. Our judicial system releases people based off of a score sheet, unless it is a heinous crime. I have no control over that as your sheriff, who stays and who goes. We don't matrix people anymore. We don't have enough people in the jail. Our beds are not full. As far as creative ideas, I've created another contract with Wallowa County that pays a substantial amount of money for bed space rental. It doesn't take away from Union County. What that does is it provides another deputy position, and it provides a service to Wallowa County. Our partnerships with our surrounding areas, our counties, our surrounding counties are huge to me. I will tell you that as a leader, you have to check your ego at the door and be able to work through these partnerships to achieve something like this.
Thank you. You want to stay up there?
Yeah, I'm going to figure that out, I promise.
All right, so this question is from the public. You both have expressed your support for defending our rights. As sheriff, will you enforce new state or federal laws that you deem unconstitutional?
Okay. I will tell you that the last thing that I want for myself or for anybody else in their life is any more federal government. I am honestly tired of people telling us what we're going to do out here in Eastern Oregon. I want the local people, our commissioners, our city councils, our mayors to make those decisions, and I want us to do it together. No more federal government, no federal governmentality needs to come in here and dictate how we do things in Eastern Oregon. It's my job as sheriff to stand up for your constitutional rights. As far as stuff being deemed or undeemed constitutional, I can tell you that when it comes down to common sense and the feedback that I get from the citizens of Union County, I can pretty much have a pretty good feeling as far as what's constitutional and what's not. That being said, due diligence in my research and educating myself before I decide one way or another. Law enforcement officers have discretion. We have discretion to enforce laws. There's one law on the books that say we shall arrest somebody. The rest of the time it is officer discretion. That's crucial. What that does is that puts the role of the deputy in their hands. The deputies that you have are from our area. They lead with compassion, they work with compassion, and they have the ability to make those decisions. I don't want somebody dictating us and telling them what to do. I don't want a federal agency in here. I don't want federal mentality coming in and running the show in Union County. That's important to me. If you do know, I did testify in Salem against Measure 114, myself and 6 other sheriffs. If you're not familiar with that, look that up. But I went and testified on behalf of Union County against Measure 114, against tying your hands in ridiculous gun registration, gun schooling, everything that they said you needed to do, including the fees that you had to pay, because I believed it was unconstitutional. And now it is still in still in the judicial system because it has been ruled unconstitutional. I'll continue to fight that. It's not just here in Union County. I spent a lot of time on the other side of the state being a voice for Union County, talking with representatives, legislation, and that's something that, from my heart, I take with me over there to represent you guys. Sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins, same question. First one from the public. You both have expressed your support for defending our rights. As sheriff, will you enforce new state or federal laws that you deem unconstitutional?
Well, I can tell you I've sworn oath to the Constitution a long time ago. It's near and dear to my heart because we wouldn't be the country we are today. I respect the Constitution. I respect all the laws that are governed underneath the Constitution because one thing, it's nonpartisan. It doesn't recognize anybody's race, creed, color, or religion. Now, when it comes down to a law being unconstitutional, I would have and hope that our Supreme Court would knock those down. And so far, that's been done every day. Now, we're under attack daily, our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, so on and so forth. As a sheriff, you're the highest law enforcement authority within the county. And the last thing I would want, too, is the overreach of a government coming in here and taking our property, taking our guns, without seeing what our rights are underneath that Constitution. So merely it comes down to that if it definitely does happen to go into a law and it gets past the Supreme Court, which I hope it doesn't ever get there. But as a sheriff, you swore an oath to the Constitution, you swore an oath to the laws that are governed. You are a governor of the Constitution, those laws. So yes, I would have to support it. Do I want to? No. But we have to remain nonpartisan. We have to show respect for everyone across the board. And again, I would hope that day would never come because it'd be very difficult for me to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Next question is also submitted from the public. As sheriff, how will you work with constituents who inherently do not trust law enforcement?
Well, that's just merely just speaking with them on their same level. I mean, if you can put away the badge and put away that authority and hopefully bring them to, well, a level that they can understand, more of a human level, it's a difficult one to do because a lot of people just don't like the badge because of what's been passed through all the news medias and across the state, you know, defund the police, so on and so forth. But there's got to be ways we can do this, and again, this is coming to common ground and talking to them and speaking to them and taking courses. There's certain courses out there that can help you talk to these individuals that might have a dissent against the law enforcement. It's difficult, it is. There's challenges all the time in the law enforcement field, but we do what we can with the training we have to get through those. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff Cody Bowen, same question to you, submitted by the public. As sheriff, how will you work with constituents who inherently do not trust law enforcement?
I'll be frank with you, it starts with our youth. It's a generational thing when it comes to trusting or not trusting law enforcement. And what I've done as a law enforcement officer and as your sheriff have been heavily involved with the youth in our community, trying to change that culture, trying to change that mentality of my parents hated the cops, they told me not to talk to the cops. But what that comes down to, and part of me not wearing a uniform most of the time, is approachability. What I've seen in the schools working with the kids is that they need trust, number one, and they need something that they can relate to. They need somebody that has not had a clean slate, not been a perfect person. They need somebody that can sit down with them eye to eye, share a story with them, and humanize that badge from a young age. That's exactly what we're doing. We're doing that in the schools and all of our fifth grade classes. We have uniformed officers teaching what we call the BEST program now. It's a program that we developed with the school district, and it's basically Union County's version of DARE. What that does is that puts a law enforcement officer in every single youth in our county except for Elgin and Embler, and I am working on that right now with superintendents across Union County. We will have SROs in Elgin and Embler in the very near future. That's my hope, that's my goal, and it's the people that I'm working with, it's their goal as all. But like I said, it's a generational thing. It's about being human, being vulnerable, being someone that somebody can talk to. We show up in the worst times, and we are designated to control and de-escalate those situations. Well, if you come in there with an attitude, you come in there with power, all you're going to do is escalate that situation. Starting with our children, showing them a friendly face, putting that face, a lot of us have been here for a lot of years. I've been here for 14 years. I've seen a lot of kids come and go in from me. I have a lot of young adults now that had that problem as a youth. I had that problem as a youth. That is slowly changing, and I believe that is definitely at the hands of the work of our law enforcement officers that we have now, myself included, with the programs that we've instilled in our schools.
Awesome. Last question before getting to closing statements from the public. It's an EOU Fates Classic. All right, can you share one thing that you admire about your role?
Yes, I can, and it's easy to me. Mr. Rollins put his life before everything else to defend our country. He enlisted. He spent time away. He spent time away from his family. I don't know him personally. I think outside of this, we have a lot of things in common. I know that from father to father, I see his involvement with his children. I see him dropping the kids off at school. I see him being a supportive husband to his wife. It's very difficult in today's day and age to be a partner to someone, and I respect that about him. And it shows in his daily activities. It shows in his wife, his children, and I respect that a lot.
Thank you. Same question. Can you share one thing that you admire about your opponent?
Well, I appreciate that. That was very generous. And again, I don't know him personally, just like he doesn't know me personally, but from everything I've heard and what I've seen, he's very charismatic. He's a very likable person. I understand he's great to hang out with, too. I've never had that opportunity. But everything I've heard, he's genuinely a good person. He's very passionate about this county. He's passionate about what he does, and I appreciate that. And that's something we need more of in our society today. So that's what I can give to you.
Thank you, Shane. If you wouldn't mind staying at the podium to give your closing statement.
So my closing statement, as you know, the sheriff is a nonpartisan position. Our Constitution, just like I said, is nonpartisan, and all the laws governing underneath it is nonpartisan. You're a governor of the laws and the Constitution, so it is very, very crucial and important that the sheriff remains nonpartisan. You have to recognize that everyone is equal across the board underneath that Constitution. It doesn't matter your race, creed, color, or religion. You will be all treated equally underneath my tenure as your sheriff. I will enforce the laws, and they'll be done equally across the board. There will be no favoritism. I will be providing a heightened service that has not been done in the past 20 years, and it can easily be done. It just comes down with more training, more leadership, and better management of the personnel. The citizens deserve this. Your tax dollars go to their wages. They go to the sheriff's office for everything that they do. So the best thing they can do is be reminded that they are public servants and they serve the community. And that's what I will bring to you as your sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Sheriff Cody Bowen, your closing statement, please.
I'm going to read, so excuse the eye contact. Union County needs a sheriff with actual local law enforcement experience. I would ask anyone wanting this responsibility that I have now, have you ever stood in front of someone you know with a gun to their head, threatening to end their life, knowing nothing you can say was going to stop them, then cradling that friend as the blood pours all over you? Have you ever told a Union County mother or father their child has passed away? Have you ever driven 120 miles an hour in a blizzard, screaming at the steering wheel to go faster, knowing if you don't get there right now, a terrified woman will die? Have you ever ran into a burning building all alone, praying for your brothers from the fire department or close behind you? Have you ever risked your life to pit maneuver a vehicle at 65 miles an hour to save innocent children just let out of a Union County school? Have you ever had a mother in Union County collapse in your arms, thanking you for saving their drowning, choking, dying child? Have you ever been threatened, assaulted, or called a pig just for the Union County uniform that you wear? Have you ever kissed your wife and children and walked out the front door wondering if today is the day I die and still have the courage to go and do the job to protect Union County? Have you ever left a career you loved to answer a higher calling bigger than yourself? Have you ever held a scared Union County child and said, I'm here with you. I'm not leaving you. I will protect you. After 14 years as a Union County law enforcement officer, I know I can answer yes to every one of those questions. Experience and compassion isn't taught in a book or achieved by a certificate of completion. Experience in real-world civilian law enforcement cannot be achieved anywhere else. Love for Union County cannot be achieved by waking up and saying to yourself, I think I'll run for sheriff. Your sheriff has had to prove himself and be willing to risk his own life to protect his neighbors and strangers for the love of it, not the title. For the last 14 years, that's exactly what I have done, and I will continue to do it with my very last breath. Union County is my home. Union County is my family, and it is my honor to carry this responsibility. I ask for your vote to keep an honest, transparent, compassionate man with real law enforcement experience in the position of your sheriff. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our debate. Thank you to both of the candidates for coming. Awesome. And thank you guys all for being in attendance and getting to learn a little bit more about your local officials. Again, thank you to EO Alive, the Chamber of Commerce, LeGrand High School, go Tigers, and have a good night. Hopefully you did better than CBS with that vice presidential debate.